All right, we are broadcasting. It says we are live. All right, so we already got people waiting in the chat. Man, it is good to see that. We've got 6 right now, Dave. We'll wait for some more people to pile in, but that's a good showing. We got some people waiting to get in, man. As we're kind of introducing everything, guys, go ahead and let me know who's in the live chat. Let's get things started with some formal intros, and then you guys can say your hellos. We'll give you your shout outs, and then we'll introduce our guest, and we'll get going for the podcast tonight. All right, so far we got Nathan. He's in the house. He can't wait for the podcast, digging the energy there. He's talking TVision coming to his town so he can get T-Mobile TV. He's excited for that. Omar is here. He's in the live chat. I don't know if he's in Denver or what's going on there, but shout out to Omar. He's in the live chat. Let's see who else is here. All right, now we got some people saying hello. All right, we have Their Reaper. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Hey, glad you could be here. Thank you for stopping by. Jamal is in the house. Jamal, what's up, brother? K Deuce is here. Raphael, hello, my friends. Salute. Rafael Perez is in the house. We got Joel is in the house. He said Sneed for president. Man, they're trying to elect me president, man.
Man, good for you. You should be president.
Man, they put me on the ballot. I don't know what I do, man. I don't know. I mean, so I paid attention in government class. I kind of know how it works, but man, that's a lot of pressure, man.
Don't worry. All you got to do is lie and make promises you're not going to keep.
Man, then I probably can't take that position, man. I can't do it. All right, we got Berkey. Glad you could be here. Thank you for stopping by. DJ Rocks. This is DJ from Washington. Glad you could be here. Thanks for stopping by. Pete is in the house. Pete, glad you could make it. Shame we couldn't get you on here, but glad you could stop by to watch and chime in. DGAF is in the house. Fellow the law. He said, I ain't paying $90 for TV. Nope. That's actually something we got to clarify in the video, man, in this podcast. We got to talk about what T-Mobile's doing with their TV service, and I think there's a couple of things that we definitely have to kind of clear up, because people are thinking this is supposed to be some kind of like streaming service, and it's really not that. So we'll get to that. Follow the law. Christopher Green is in the house. Oscar, glad you could be here, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. Gary, he's mad because I banned him over on the Discord. Gary, you got a potty mouth, man. We got to talk about that. All right, Platinum's in the house. Platinum says, I'm thinking about switching to Sprint because T-Mobile coverage is horrible in my in rural areas. Well, that's always going to be something that they're going to have to try to overcome. As long as they're in business, they've got to do something about that. And in general, we could probably come to the conclusion that with the merger, Sprint can kind of rid themselves of all of those shortcomings in their network and kind of let T-Mobile take over. What do you say, Dave?
T-Mobile is bad in rural areas? Are you
No,
sure
Sprint.
Sprint is. Okay, I thought he said he was going to switch from T-Mobile to Sprint. I was confused there.
Oh, no, wait. He did say that. I'm thinking about switching to Sprint because T-Mobile coverage is horrible in rural. Yeah, that's what he said.
Are you sure? That doesn't seem like a good idea to me.
Well, in most cases, Sprint's the one that really relies heavily upon those roaming agreements.
That's true. I mean, I guess if he's looking for the Verizon roaming like almost 24/7, then yeah, sure.
And they are charging for those roaming charges, right?
Verizon's charging Sprint, but I guess Sprint's just got it built into their pricing.
So they're just eating it up, man. Like,
I think Sprint's just got it built into their pricing. I don't think they're actually charging the end user more for it.
It's interesting. Knowledge. Okay, well, let's see who else is in here, and then we can kind of get started with the introduction and then all the topics for tonight. Let's see here. Pete says same package for Comcast is $120. Pete, hold that thought. I'm going to come back to that. Let's see who else is here. Eric Ream, glad you could be here. Thanks for stopping by. Christian, good to see you, my friend. Glad you could be here. Oscar says, we don't get to see real 5G. We'll talk about 5G, I think, a little bit as well today. And actually, that's going to be kind of our first topic. I think that's it. That's it for the intros, and everybody said their hellos. Let's go ahead and get this thing started right. So, last I checked, it was still Friday, April 12th, 2019. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for those that are watching this after it's been recorded. This is the SMT Mobile Tech Podcast with special guest Dave B's Tech. Dave, I've had you on the JG Tech blog podcast before, but we haven't had you on SMT Mobile Tech's podcast. So welcome. This is your first time here. Glad you could make it. Why don't you go ahead and tell the folks out there who you are, what you do. Tell them a little bit about yourself and the channel that you have going on.
Well, thanks for having me on. The JG Tech blog was a lot of fun. As you mentioned, I'm Dave from Dave B's Tech. I'm actually a ham radio operator and cell phone enthusiast. I'm technology in general. I absolutely love technology, all things. I do a lot of reading and stuff like that. But when your cell phones no longer work, when they all go away and they no longer work, you'll always have the good old ham radio.
So that was more of like a public service announcement, Dave.
Yeah, it kind of was, but it's true.
Yeah. You can count on those radio frequencies to travel and get you in some form of communication, right?
Well, let's think about this. Your cell phone is using, 700 megahertz and 1.9 gig and 2.1 gig. These radios, anywhere from 30 megahertz and less up to 140, 440 megahertz, and at a lot higher power.
Man, I think about the old school days. I remember when those radios were pretty much it for communication. I mean, I can go back to the 80s. That's as far as I can go back. I'm 35. So, Dave, how old are you?
23, almost 23.
Oh, you're a young kid, man. Yeah. I'm surprised you're so far into those radios, man. Feels like legacy tech,
It's actually a lot of fun. As I said, the cell phones, it can do a lot where cell phones can't. So I was at my house one time and there was no cell service, but yet I could talk to a repeater 19 and a half miles away on that radio.
Yeah, I remember when that was pretty much like your only form of communication if you're trying to get anything done across distance. And of course, law enforcement, emergency services, they still rely heavily upon that type of technology. So it's not dead.
Now it's all digital. You can actually do digital with those radios now too.
That's kind of nice. I mean, digital, for the clarity and stuff like that is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's the evolution of tech, right? Absolutely. And that's what we're here for, the evolution of tech. All right, so today's podcast with special guest Dave B's Tech, we are mostly going to focus on the news from this week from the channel. Did a video this week. It was titled 5G Who's Winning? So we're going to talk specifically about AT&T and Verizon. Not much to really talk about 5G wise in the T-Mobile camp, and not much going on, at least not that we know of, from Sprint. The only thing we know from Sprint really is we're expecting something in May. T-Mobile, we're not expecting anything till obviously about half two of 2019. Be nice to get something at the end of the summer. And hopefully before the next wave of phones in the fall. So we kind of know their hold up. T-Mobile's kind of dealing with hardware issues. They don't have a compatible chip that can push the 600 megahertz for 5G. So they're kind of waiting for Qualcomm to provide them with something that they can use. But based on what, I kind of reported this week, maybe it's not so bad that T-Mobile kind of held out, man. I don't know if you got a chance to read any of the reports or see the videos, Dave, but I don't know. Did you watch any of that or hear about it?
Oh, yeah, I did. I heard about Verizon's 5G tests, and they're using those millimeter waves. And the thing is that a lot of people were saying that they were having trouble even finding it because apparently with the Moto mod on that phone, it doesn't show 5G unless you're sending or receiving data through the device. And so you can't figure out beforehand whether you're actually on 5G or still on LTE until you actually start to use it
So I wonder if it's a situation of, does the device, and I'm talking like the 5G device and then the phone, right? The Moto Z3. I wonder if it's the mod and the Z3 needing another software update to actually kind of get it going. I see this as a flaw that is fixable, but it's frustrating. So we kind of wanted to see this thing in action, and we had high hopes. We wanted to see those fast speeds, those really low pings, really low latency, and it kind of was like rain on the parade. People were having trouble connecting. They weren't seeing the icon at the top, right hand side of the screen. Uh, there were some people getting some good speed tests. They were seeing 4, 5, 6, 700, megs per second, and then it would just drop out and fall out. So I wonder if it's a software thing. I don't know. What do you think? Software or hardware?
I think a bit of both at this time. With those millimeter waves, people were saying even if they just turned the corner, then it would obviously drop out. If your line of sight to the tower, it's great. But as soon as that line of sight is obstructed at all, it just failed out completely. So until they have one tower on every street corner in order to provide it to have line of sight down every street, I don't think it's going to be any good at all outdoors. And indoors, you can forget it.
Yeah, they're saying they can't get signal through a window.
That's crazy. I've even heard raindrops will mess with that. Like even if it's raining, I've heard
Well,
it'll deflect it that
that's
way.
what's ironic. It was raining while the like CNET was doing their testing. And they were reporting that, like we can't get this thing to connect or stay connected. So it's funny that you brought up the rain because it was raining in Chicago this week and last week.
That and you've got to be careful because with that battery on that moto mod, one of the reports I was reading, their battery died and they didn't realize it because it didn't tell them, and so they were like, "Well, why can't we get 5G?" And later on that day, they figured out that the battery had died on the mod.
So the battery mod, well, okay, so the mod's battery that's built into the mod, I believe is like 2000 milliamp hours or something like that, 2200.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got its own built-in battery, which is nice. So it's not like pulling off the phone. I mean, the phone's going to get taxed regardless, because it's obviously that's a pretty demanding connection at this time. You know what I mean? But like with the mod taking that connection, do you think that means that the phone's going to see its normal battery life?
I think it should, or maybe just a little less, because the mod is taking the brunt of the actual connectivity from to the 5G. What it's doing is it's pulling the data through 5G to the mod, and then it's sending it over to the GPIO pins on the actual phone where the phone connects to the mod. Those little pins. It's sending it over that data over that port.
So let's go ahead and we'll just kind of like ask the community out there, the ones that are in the live chat, what do you guys think of the Verizon 5G situation? I mean, let's kind of view it in its totality or whatever. It's Chicago and Minneapolis. It's only two markets. It's currently just the Moto Z3 with the Moto Mod, and we've got these connectivity issues. Like, who's willing to take on an additional $10 add-on, and then also you have to use this phone with this mod arrangement, right? So I don't know, Dave. Take all that together. How are you feeling about the Verizon 5G right now as it is?
I'm not. Um, it's not something that I would be wanting to get into. I'm not a Verizon customer, but even if I were, $10 more for a service that works none of the time, practically, unless you're like standing in a very specific area with a very specific phone combination and mod. Mind you, that mod is got its own price. The phone is $200. The 5G service is $10 extra a month. It's not to the point where I could justify paying that. When they get it rolled out a little more widely, I could see people justifying it, but not right now.
So I'm kind of with you. I love being an early adopter. Like, being on the bleeding edge of tech is really fun. Like trying new hardware and getting connected to new services and things like that. But this is so flawed and it's so limited. I just can't get on board. And you're paying a premium price tag. Now they are saying that they're waiving the $10 fee for the add-on, but they're not waiving the cost of the hardware. So you're going to
There's
have to buy a Moto Z3. You're going to have to buy the mod.
there's a difference between being on the cutting edge and being on the bleeding edge. This is bleeding edge. It barely works. This is absolute bleeding edge. T-Mobile's 600 megahertz rollout is still pretty cutting edge. That's, it's we've got devices that support it. They're still rolling it out. That's more cutting edge. And that's kind of where I like to sit on technology. I don't want to bleed, but I don't want to be so late to the party that the party's over when I get there.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I kind of like the analogy there. There's a lot of growing pains that come with new tech. There's going to be 5G growing pains in terms of devices. There's going to be 5G growing pains in terms of network operations. There's going to be failures. There's going to be face plants. We're kind of seeing it now. Now, in terms of AT&T, I think AT&T's situation is actually better in terms of the network. Would you agree, Dave?
Now, I haven't heard much about AT&T's. They're using those fixed 5G pucks, I know. So in the areas that they've rolled them out, from what I understand, it is actually better because you're using a puck that can sit in an area where it can get to the tower, and then it's being Wi-Fi'd off of that.
So the puck is better than the mod.
I would think so because it's sitting still. When you introduce the user into the equation, you cover those antennas and you're blocking the signal. Your hand blocks it, rain blocks it, a window blocks it. So with the puck, it's sitting in a stationary location where it can get the connection. It's got an antenna, I'm assuming, that either sticks out of your window or whatever to get it, and then it uses Wi-Fi. It translates that into Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I think the puck situation is better. I also trust Nighthawk, like the Netgear Nighthawk branding. Leave it to them when it comes to routing a signal. You know what I'm saying? Like they've got experience with that type of hardware.
Oh, yeah.
So antennas, modems, routers, I'll give it to Netgear as opposed to Moto. And I don't mean to and I'm not trying to put down Moto, but I just want to give Netgear their credit. I just think that's a better solution. And I think it's more reliable and we can expect more from it.
No, I would absolutely agree with that.
And I also think that in terms of what Verizon is doing with millimeter wave, if they're only going to be using millimeter wave for this initial rollout, they're going to have trajectory problems for a long time. They're going to have to figure out something. There needs to be a little bit better way to transmit the signals in a more dependable way. Because there's actually kind of going to be two phases for AT&T. So for those of you that saw the video, you know what I'm talking about. So they've got 5GE, which is just advanced LTE. That's not
LTE.
this.
That's
right.
LTE
it's LTE.
Plus,
yeah. Then there's 5G plus, which is what this current AT&T technology is. 5G plus. Then they have what's going to be called sub 6 gigahertz. I think in 2020, we're going to be seeing a lot of what AT&T wants to do with the sub 6 gigahertz. I think that's going to be a more reliable way to get connected to 5G with AT&T. And I think that's where the Samsung Galaxy 5G phones, like the Note 10, potentially eventually, I guess, iPhones that are 5G ready, those will be very dependable once you're within that 500 to 1,000 foot range of an AT&T 5G node.
I think AT&T must really enjoy alphabet soup. I mean, you've got all these AT&T Uverse things, and then you've got AT&T 5G plus and 5G sub 6, and I don't know what else are they going to come up with, 5GE and.
Well, let's leave the name monikers out of it. Let's just look at the technology side. So the millimeter wave approach versus the sub 6 gigahertz approach, I think that's going to be the way to go for them, the sub 6 gigahertz. The millimeter wave will be nice at the stadium, at the arena.
And that's
right, to get you those speeds.
That's where it should be deployed. Anything in that really high frequency range should be in very specific venues, whereas the sub 6 should serve a lot wider area. Just like how Sprint's 2.5 macro cells that are inside buildings they do well. I could see millimeter wave working well in like the Mall of America or US Bank Stadium or someplace like that. But to use 28 gigahertz in a cityscape environment, the only place you're going to get that is on the streets, and that's if you have a node on every single street corner.
So let's get into the live chat. Let's see what the community's got to say about this topic. Uh, Pete says AT&T is winning 5G. Verizon doesn't have it. I mean, it's kind of true. I mean, network wise, I say AT&T's network is superior, but AT&T doesn't have phones to use on it. So, like I personally think they're both losing, but AT&T's network is in better position than Verizon's. Oscar says, I'm with Cricket Wireless with AT&T. The signal is not good in my area. Let me look for a 5G one. Kdu says, no hurry for 5G. Time to wait for the phones. It's kind of true, man. We got to get some good phones that can run and push the networks. Like the network's got to be substantial, and the phone's got to be able to take advantage of it. So it's probably best to kind of wait and see. Dave, when do you think somebody should be looking to upgrade to a 5G phone?
2021.
Ooh, so you got them waiting like a year and a half?
Yeah, I don't think that 5G is going to be anything more than serving the downtown areas with very, very millimeter wave spectrum up until that point.
Christopher Green says, I got 5G in my area in Photo, Florida. What area of Florida has 5G? I have no idea. Let's see what else is going on here. M. Kelleher says, this means I have to carry around an extra battery. No thanks. Just for some speed that I don't need anyway. It's fast enough as it is. Yeah,
I
maybe
agree.
for some. Yeah, you agree? Like if your LTE is good, you're probably in that camp, right?
I agree. LTE is fast enough for what we need it for right now. There's no
But the
need to
latency is
rush it.
not good enough.
No, the latency is definitely not. And it also depends on what you're doing.
Okay, do you think you could game on LTE?
No, absolutely not. The latency is too low for that. Like it's
Can we do autonomous vehicle? Can we do autonomous vehicles on LTE?
No. What you can do on LTE is watch your YouTube and
Right.
things like that. Like the things that people normally do besides the gaming, but like VoIP, your calls work, your YouTube works, your Netflix works, all that stuff that you're going to do as a general rule works. When you get into playing PUBG and that kind of stuff, no, that's not going to work for that.
In the comments or in the live chat, Kdu says, I'll wait for T-Mobile. It'll all be worked out. Do you think T-Mobile is going to offer the best 5G service at initial deployment? So like initial deployment for Verizon, we'll call that April 2019, right?
Do I think I'm not sure. T-Mobile seems to be waiting, which I think is actually the smarter idea here. I
But
think
like, do you get what I'm asking though? Like, Dave, okay, so if we're going to count this as the launch for Verizon 5G, and we're also going to count this as the launch for AT&T 5G, so AT&T's got a puck, and Verizon's got a Moto Mod. This is completely hypothetical. Let's say T-Mobile's 5G comes out in September 2019. Do you think what they offer in September 2019 is going to be better than what AT&T has right now and what Verizon has right now?
Actually, I would think so. And the reason I say that is because of the fact that they're waiting. They're not trying to be. It doesn't seem to me as though they're trying to be the first to say, "Oh, look what we have," and it barely works. They seem to be holding off until they actually get something that's more usable.
But the only reason they haven't tried anything is because they don't have anything to push it.
They have
like
some millimeter wave with the
no. They don't have hardware. I'm saying they don't have a device.
That's true, but I don't think that T-Mobile's in a bad position here, and the reason I say that is because look at what Verizon and AT&T are offering. I'd call it smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, I agree.
They're claiming they have 5G, and yeah, they may have it in such a small but it's in such a small area that is it going to be useful in day-to-day life? No, unless you're going to stand in Chicago when it's 30 degrees outside like it is today
No,
to use
no,
your
no.
5G. No, I don't think so. People aren't willing to do that. So
Well,
I think
Verizon is also saying they're going to have 30 cities by the end of the year.
Verizon is.
Yeah, they're at 2 right now. They're saying 28 to come by the end of the year.
We'll see. I
And
don't know if
then,
I believe that.
but to me, honestly, the number of cities does not matter. The quality within a certain city would matter.
I agree.
Like if they gave it to 5 cities, but they put it everywhere in a city, like let's say they covered the major 30 blocks of downtown Chicago. They put it around all those pizza joints, all those famous places. You put it at the train station, you put it at the airport. You get what I'm saying? Like that would all make sense.
I would consider that a deployment. This whole thing of we put up one cell site in the city, therefore it's deployed, is again smoke and mirrors. I do not agree with calling that a deployment.
I think they put it in like 5 spots in Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 4 or 5 nodes are active.
I think that's about right, but still, that's not very much.
I don't even know what's going on in Minneapolis. I haven't seen or heard anything out of Minnesota.
I read one article that said that they were testing it, like somebody tested it in Minneapolis, right near the U.S. Bank Stadium, because that's the only area it works in is right near the stadium.
Are they getting anything? Are they having the same connectivity issues as Chicago?
They're having about the same. They're connected 1 minute, and then it drops, and then they're connected again, and it drops. It's really, really flaky.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pass on it. We'll have to kind of put a wait and a hold on AT&T, and of course, we're kind of waiting for T-Mobile to see what they do. Maybe you have a comment to this. Jacob Webb says 5G massive MIMO on Sprint for the win. Dave, what are they talking about?
If Sprint uses their 2.5 to deploy 5G, I think they'll actually be ahead of a lot of their competitors. And the reason I say that is just because of how 2.5 on LTE is very high spectrum. 2.5 on 5G will be very low broad coverage spectrum. 2.5 5G will be the equivalent of 600 megahertz LTE.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it would be because in terms of trying to get the signal in rural areas, in more community ranged areas, you're going to want to you want to cover space, you want to get range. So the 2.5 would work great for that. In terms of hitting the nationwide is what they want to do, right?
Right.
Yeah, the 2.5 would work much better.
I would think the 2.5 would work better. And again, going back to the whole speed thing, even if people didn't notice a terribly large increase in speed, I don't think that they would mind because of the fact that LTE works well enough. Like, why are people going to yell about something that works good enough? LTE is good enough right now for most things. When 5G comes out, the only thing that it will be able to do is have a couple hundred, maybe 100 megabits more second speed on 2.5 and sub 10 milliseconds latency. So now you can play PUBG on your phone. But other than that, LTE speeds are good enough for the average person.
So, all right. So I'm going to kind of go rapid fire, and you just kind of give me your takeaway from these comments. Junkyard says they need to get their 4G LTE working good everywhere and improve coverage before they walk off and get on the 5G wagon. Rafael Perez says they need to perfect the 5G tech before I jump in. M. Kelleher says, I don't want a damn thing to do with 5G. DGAF says they all need to finish their LTE before jumping to 5G. You kind of get the sentiment that people are not buying into the smoke and mirrors, as you say. Christopher Green says, my Verizon phone is the Samsung Galaxy S10 5G. That should be coming out pretty soon. I think that's got a release date for May. Let's see here. Yeah, I think it's like May 16th or something like that for a launch. Let's see here. DJ Gaydon, longtime subscriber and viewer, glad you could make it, says he's excited for 5G. He's got a lot of congestion in his area. That could definitely help with that. Wouldn't you say, Dave?
Oh, yes. If you have a lot of congestion on LTE, then when they do finally deploy 5G, that is going to help a lot because not a lot of people are going to be on it.
Going to need to densify with a lot of small cells, a lot of those microcells that you guys see on those light poles and stuff like that. They'll kind of be having to hit the blocks pretty heavy. Let's see here. Jacob Webb says he's looking forward to Sprint's 5G, massive loads of spectrum. If they can implement it correctly, it'll be amazing. That's probably pretty true. You think T-Mobile stands a good chance to really build out that spectrum, Dave?
With what they have, I think so. I think they can do a lot with what they do have. I mean, seeing Neville Ray and what he's done with LTE. So I do think that T-Mobile has a shot with it. If they can acquire Sprint, if this merger goes through, then I know they're going to do well because Neville Ray loves Spectrum and he knows how to use it.
And he's done a great job with the T-Mobile network over the course of the last handful of years. I mean, they've started the party late, right? They're the youngest of all the carriers, and they really have. I'd say they've closed up the gap pretty quick. The LTE coverage has expanded. Their LTE is very fast. In areas where they're not congested. I think any carrier that has a lot of subscribers in an area is going to have to learn how to manage the network. So I'm not going to knock them for that. Let's see what else is going on in the live chat. I think that's pretty much it. We're almost caught up here. Yeah, Pete says in Chicago it was 4 or 5 that never connected. So I don't know. Maybe they have more, but half of them or something weren't able to connect. Let's see here. Work out the bugs first, waiting for phones and the prices to go down. Well, hopefully, if T-Mobile does it as they claim they will, they're not going to be increasing pricing just because of 5G. They're looking at it as a long-term investment that customers can take advantage of without paying a premium. I don't know. Do you see them going in another direction, Dave?
I don't, actually, not for the foreseeable future, just because they've said they won't. Again, their brand image is everything. I've said this before and I'll say it again. T-Mobile markets to the millennials and the people who want something good, right? So if they start raising prices, people are going to leave in droves because it's the kind of crowd they've attracted. We don't have any brand loyalty. We just want it to work. And so, yes, I would say that, I don't think they're going to charge a premium for it. The 5G phones, though, are going to be a premium. Even the OnePlus, the OnePlus CEO was interviewed a while back, and he said that they were going to have to raise the price of the phone by $300 to accommodate.
I would be surprised if it only increased by $300. I'm thinking, so if you look at the Samsung Galaxy S10, what are we at, Dave? Like $849 or something?
Sounds about right.
Okay, S10 Plus, we're looking at $999.
I think so, yeah, because they're charging basically the same thing as an iPhone.
Okay. So S10 Plus 5G or whatever the S10 5G is, I'm going to say $1,500, $1,600.
I'd say 13, but 13, 14.
I feel like that's shooting a little bit low. I think that's wishful thinking, man. I don't think it's going to be 13, 1400. I think it's going to be 15, 16. They're going to sell their foldables at over 2,000.
That's crazy. I am never paying that much for a phone. It is not going to happen. My OnePlus that I love so much was like 500, and I love the Moto G series, and that's 200. I am not paying $2,000 for a phone.
I've never paid. I think the most I ever paid was $649 for the first Google Pixel, the 5-inch Google Pixel first gen. I paid $649, and I think I got a deal on it because there was like a $200 or $300 off promo on it, so I ended up paying less for it. But I put it on installments for 2 years, and yeah, so that's I bought my Google Pixel off a Verizon employee.
The most I ever paid. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The most I ever paid for my phones was $800, and that was the Pixel 2, and I won't do it again.
How much did you pay?
$800. I think it was like $750, $800, something like that, because I got the XL. So I won't do it again.
Yeah, I think what ends up happening is you become desensitized to the cost of the phones. So for the people that started paying the $800, $900, they're like, Well, I'm already paying 8,900. My payment's at about $40 a month. What's the big deal if I pay 1,000 or 1,100 or 1,200? My payment will just be 47 a month. So like the payments, they really get people thinking like they can afford these phones, but like when your phone costs more than your service, you have problems, man.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like you're going to finance a phone for two, and now T-Mobile's doing 3-year deals, for installments, and AT&T's been doing it, right? They've been doing 30-month installments. Uh, Man, that's
Well,
just vicious.
well, that's because the phones are so darn expensive that you can't pay for them in a decent amount of time. The only reason they're wanting to do 30-month installments is A, because they can keep you on longer, and B, it takes that amount of time to pay the phone off at a reasonable price. If you still want your $30 a month phone payment for the actual device itself, you have to go that long. And are you going to get support on your phone for that long? Are you going to want to keep your phone that long? No. You're going to want to upgrade, and they're just going to get you again. It's like a contract.
There's a guy in the chat right now. It says a Jit Pi 5G Wi-Fi. You guys can thank me now.
Don't even get me started on the cheap
Oh,
pie.
I don't know if
That's
you
a
caught
whole.
this, Dave. I just watched like right before we got here on the podcast. I just watched the president's press conference on 5G technology, and he had a Jit Pi there, the FCC chairman. And they had like cell phone tower employees like dressed up in hard hats and tool belts. I don't know if anybody in the live chat saw that. Let me know what you guys thought of it. It was like a circus, man.
Sounds like it.
All right, if you guys want me to do a video summarizing and recapping that press conference, go ahead and hit the like button. Uh, like the podcast, like the video, a comment in the live chat if you guys think I should do a summary recap of everything that the president covered and the chairman of the FCC on 5G and the roadmap. Like there was a lot in there actually. And then what ended up happening is like, so his wife was there, Ivanka Trump. It was really weird. And it kind of devolved into this thing about immigration. It was crazy. I'd gladly do a video on it. It was hilarious. Uh, so you guys can let me know in the live chat if you guys want me to do it.
He would take something cool and devolve it into that, wouldn't he?
He spent like 5-10 minutes talking about 5G and how it's going to help rural Americans and honestly and actually I don't mean to give you guys a spoiler, but if I do that video, I think it's going to really help the merger. There is a huge connection between the president's vision of 5G and winning 5G, where you got to think China, international competition. If he really believes what T-Mobile's selling, he's going to really try to push this merger along.
Good. I think it should happen. So if he actually does one thing right, I'll be very happy.
Let's see what's going on in the live chat, man. It says here, where are we at here? Mustard Ultra says, I don't think I'll need 5G, at least not initially, probably. Let's see here. Sebastian says, go ahead and do the video. Mark says, do the video. Mark says, if prices go any higher, I will go back to the landline. Oh, man. Let's see here. Yeah, DGAF says, do the recap. Yeah, everybody wants the video. I think I'm going to do it, Dave.
All right. Looks like you've got another video.
So he talked about China. He talked about Korea. He talked about Asian nations. He talked about competition of 5G, helping out rural America. I'll get to all of that stuff in that video. I'll probably work on a script and work on the production in the next 24, 48 hours. Hopefully I have something for you guys by Sunday evening-ish on that. So you guys be on the lookout for that video. And the FCC and President Trump also talked about expediting 5G rollout, getting the permits and not letting municipalities and cities lollygag, which was kind of interesting. I don't know if you've been following that story much, Dave.
I think that the cities won't like that, but I think the customers will, and I know I will.
I think the fact that they want to expedite the rollout is good. Well, actually, it's not even expediting the rollout. What they're saying is they're not going to let the city take 2 or 3 years to make a decision. They're going to tell the city you got like X number of days. It's a yes or a no, or else we have to move on. So if the city decides, no, we don't want the 5G towers or whatever, they can opt out of it. They don't have to, but they can't sit there and lollygag. And they also can't charge like exponential amounts of money. There's going to be like a certain cap of dollars they can charge, like Verizon and AT&T to put up those 5G towers.
Oh, so now our future network is going to be based on the whims of old guys in city governments. Oh, that's nice.
Well, I think the good thing that's coming out of this is that for the cities that are like lollygagging, they have to make a decision sooner. That's good because you don't want to sit there and hope like, yeah, we're in limbo. We're waiting to see if we can put this tower up. Verizon could try to find a different solution. Oh, okay, we can't put up a macro site. Let's see if we can get them to put small cells on some lights.
Okay, yeah,
You
that's
get what I'm
fine.
saying? Yeah.
I
So
just
like,
thought I thought you were saying they could say no, we don't want 5G equipment here at all.
well, if they decide that they don't want to, I mean, who's to tell them that they can?
So I go into I go into Indianapolis, Indiana, and they've said we don't want 5G equipment anywhere, and I'm stuck on LTE.
I mean, they're. I mean, you're gonna try to put this 5G stuff. You're gonna try to get it into some progressive parts of towns. It's gonna be hard to get it in cities where people are, they kind of have this like 5G phobia. Some people are legitimately concerned about health. They claim that there's not enough research, there's not enough studies. They're concerned about radiation. Like, it's not me. Like, I'm not saying that's what I'm saying. I'm saying there are some people that are legitimately concerned about health, and they're saying that there's not enough research to prove substantially that it's not unsafe.
I
So
think
if a city
that's
truly believes it and they're like, we want to wait, but the companies want to move on if you're not going to give them a yes or a no.
I think that's crazy. The the frequencies at which 5G and LTE and your TV signals are being broadcast are low enough that they are non-ionizing radiation. They do not carry enough energy to do any damage whatsoever. Even if they do enter the body, you're being penetrated by radio waves of all frequencies all the time. This is coming
Dave,
from, again,
Dave,
this is my
you
amateur
don't have
physics
to
lesson.
tell me. I teach biology. Okay. I know what I know what radio waves do to people's bodies. Like there are people that get x-rays like every 2 weeks because they think they broke a bone. Those people will get cancer before 5G will give anybody cancer.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there were studies, like the initial DNA studies back in the 1950s that were using X-ray diffraction images. Like the lady Rosalind Franklin, she developed ovarian cancer from her, DNA studies using X-rays. Like that stuff killed her. 5G waves won't. I just don't know what to tell people. I mean, everybody's kind of up in arms about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not certain. Like, you're never going to change everybody's mind, and you're never going to get everybody to agree on one thing.
All right, so we got some action here. Raphael says radiation is a real concern. I agree. I mean, the testing is good. We want to see some substantial testing with clear and conclusive results. Let's see here. Richard says, "Do you guys think the T-Mobile and Sprint merger will go through?" There's a lot of doubt. Dave, you want to go first, man? You're the guest.
I don't know. I want it to, but that's just my own personal opinion, so I feel like I'm a little bit biased towards saying yes. I feel like if what you just mentioned with the whole Trump parade circus thing is true and his vision is true, then yeah, maybe it could go through. And I think they do make some valid points about having like two big carriers, AT&T and Verizon, and them trying to play catch up. They're doing a good job, but I think with having them both together, I think they could do better than they do now.
You know, I actually I don't think the merger is actually in as much doubt as some people are letting on. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. Number one, if the merger was in doubt, why is it still progressing through the paces? It would have been shot down already. It's been over a year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like 1 year to this month.
April 29th,
Okay.
2018, my birthday.
There we go. So like, and I didn't have that written down or anything. I'm going off the cuff on the podcast. I mean, we've got a set of topics that we're doing here, but like, I know it's been at least a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're still here. We're still here talking about the merger potentially going through and being approved. I don't think enough has changed to garner that much doubt. Like, yeah, you could talk about the states and how they want to sue if the merger is going to be approved. But think about what T-Mobile just said. They said they were willing to invest, billions of dollars into the state of California in infrastructure and making them, technologically equipped for the future of the networks. California is a massive state. You know how many people live in that state?
California is huge.
California could be its own standalone country. So like
don't give them ideas.
I know. But like you get what I'm saying? Like they're willing, T-Mobile has said over and over again, we're willing to do this, that, and the third. Not raising prices for 3 years. We're not going to charge a premium for 5G. We're going to be giving rural America a chance. We're going to make America competitive in the international space. They're telling the president everything he wants to hear.
We're going to make America great again.
Right. John Legend just needs to wear a MAGA hat, bro.
Pretty much.
I mean, him and Kanye with Trump, like, it would be great, right? They could take photos and stuff. But, like, they're saying all the right stuff. I mean, Sprint's just crying broke. They're talking about how they're going to lay everybody off if this merger falls through. They're talking about they can't compete. They're not profitable. They've been failing. And I don't care about that. I really don't. I mean, I would hate to see the Sprint spectrum go to waste if they were to go under. I would hate to see it go up for auction and watch, Pac-Man Verizon and Pac-Man AT&T gobble up all that 2.5 and all that spectrum. You know what I mean? But like, I just don't see enough to make me think that the T-Mobile and Sprint merger is done. I don't doubt it like everybody else does. So I'm still above 80% the Sprint and T-Mobile merger goes through. Honestly, I'm not even trying to like blow smoke up anybody. Like I legit believe it because I haven't seen enough to cast a higher amount of doubt than I'm still going 80% merger goes.
I agree. I do definitely agree with this.
And I don't know, man. Like, I guess the DOJ could say no, but like, it doesn't seem that way. They're approving everything. It's merger season.
Yes, we are definitely in the middle of merger season.
AT&T acquired Time Warner. I mean, how the hell did they let that happen? If they really cared about competition, AT&T owns everything.
They really do, though.
And then they're going to say, no, T-Mobile, you can't have Sprint. No. Like, even if the merger is approved, they're still third. Right? Verizon's got 155 million subs. AT&T's 145. What? This puts them at 130, 135?
I think so, yeah. That sounds about right.
So it's okay for Verizon to have all those customers, and it's okay for AT&T to own everything and buy everything.
But it's not okay for the two little carriers, T-Mobile and Sprint, to merge to actually be competitive.
And I don't like Sprint because of the way that they have failed so heavily in LTE. But I like T-Mobile. So I'm not gonna cut off my nose to spite my face. You know what I'm saying?
I love T-Mobile. I love what they're doing. I think Sprint got dealt a bad card and they didn't know how to fix it. Because I think they could have fixed it. And they either chose not to, or they were dealt such a raw hand that they couldn't actually. But look at what Neville did with T-Mobile. Look at what Neville and John Ledger did with T-Mobile. And then you see why I say that I think Sprint could have fixed it. Yeah, they screwed up on WiMAX instead of trying to go with WiMAX instead of LTE.
Yeah, that was stupid.
That was dumb. And like, I still think they could have fixed it though, but they didn't put the effort in to do so.
They made some bad decisions. That's obviously one of them. The next they'll purchase, I think, really costed them. They didn't do anything with it that was noteworthy. The Radio Shack problem, uh, SoftBank, they talk about how they've hemorrhaged so much money trying to revive Sprint. But their CapEx has never been high. Like when did they really truly invest in the network the right way? And actually, leadership in Sprint has always been a problem too. I look at the plans that they've instituted. They never really followed through. They gave up before the completion.
If SoftBank had taken and put their money where their mouth was, I understand that Sprint was an expensive deal to get. And I understand that Sprint didn't do great. But if they raised Sprint's CapEx and did the same kind of CapEx as Verizon or AT&T for a couple of years, it would be expensive as heck.
Okay, so Dave, do you know what Verizon's CapEx is?
Isn't it like 20 billion or something?
Yes.
20, 30 billion?
They've ramped it up for 5G. Like it's like 5 years ago, it was like at like 15.
Now imagine if Sprint took that and invested it in their network. Is it going to cost a lot for several years? Yes. But then Sprint would be an absolute beast of a network.
But wouldn't you be willing to pay the price increase, right, if Sprint was better?
I think there's a lot of people who actually would be willing to pay for it.
So I'd pay 10% more for
10,
Sprint
15?
service. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't raise the prices insanely.
No, 10 to 15%. If my bill went from 50 to 55, I could eat that.
I wouldn't care.
I mean, they're how many times are they going to do this giving away service thing? You get service for a year. Yeah. We're losing customers. You got to work on the network. It's not about the promos.
Exactly. If your network is bad, no one's going to come knock on your door if they can't make a call to their grandma in their car driving down I-75.
Yeah, I see it as in people have left Sprint not because of pricing. They've left them because of performance.
Their network is terrible.
They have some cities where they perform well and the customers are satisfied, but it's not enough. They need more cities like that.
Absolutely.
They have to compete.
Have you ever went to a suburb?
Okay, so I work in a suburb in Cleveland, and in said suburb, there's like no LTE for Sprint.
That's crazy.
Dave, there's a cell phone tower behind our stadium, like where the football games are played in lacrosse and soccer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a macro site. All carriers are there, except Sprint. I kid you not. There are times of the day where I'm getting 150 down and 90 up on Verizon. I mean, the site's right there.
And there's no LTE for Sprint at all.
No.
That's what I mean. That is just sad. In 2019,
it's 3G. So like downtown, you're good. Downtown Cleveland, you're good. Sprint's fast. It's all LTE. But you start just like getting off the freeway, man, and signals dropping and your battery's dying and your connection is slow. Like I can't remember the last time I looked at my phone and I was in 3G, man.
Same here. It's been a long time.
And then occasionally I get and there's somebody in the chat right now, Boogaboo7. I switched from T-Mobile to Sprint. They're one of the ones that could capitalize on Sprint having a good network in a certain place, but we just need more of that so it can be competitive. What if the merger does fail? What is Sprint going to do? What are you going to just go ahead and be ass out and just call it a day?
I think if the merger fails, then the next merger we're going to see is Comcast buying Sprint.
I swear, if Comcast buys Sprint, That would be the worst case scenario.
Oh, it would absolutely be. It would be miserably horrible
I would rather have Verizon buy Sprint than Comcast.
because Comcast is already rated the country's worst company.
They're horrible. They were kicked out of the state of New York, weren't they?
I think so. But
I remember reading that story over the summer last year.
To be rated the United States worst company, that must take some work.
But you know what? You're onto something. If the merger fails and Sprint finds a buyer to gobble up that $35 billion debt, God, man, I could. Dish, Comcast.
What's Dish gonna do? Dish has
Well,
been
Dish,
buying
from what I
Spectrum
hear,
and squatting on it.
I hear Dish wants to build a 5G network for IoT,
Okay.
which is legitimate for their application, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, if that's what they're gonna do with all that Spectrum, then great. But to me, right now, it just looks like they've been buying Spectrum to squat on it.
No, I think they're looking to make a move in terms of like an in-house, all their own hardware, all their own spectrum, like an IoT 5G network. So that would be their TV, that would be their gaming platform. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they would cover all their bases.
Okay, I'll accept
So,
that. That sounds like an idea.
all right, Dave, we got one more topic to cover. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right, so the topic is T-Mobile TVision Home. And I obviously want to know what everybody's thoughts and opinions are in the live chat because this is a new product and it's available in a certain set of markets. So I think what we'll do is we'll kind of go through the actual factuals about the announcement, and then we'll kind of take in what we think of it. Sound good, Dave?
Sounds perfect.
All right, so let's start first with the service itself. So it's T-Mobile's TVision Home cable. This is designed to be a cable competitor. This is not a streaming service. This is a legit home TV solution. A lot of people in the comment section of my last video on this were saying, hell no, I ain't paying it because I got Hulu or I got Netflix and that's good enough. Or I got, what's that other one? PlayStation View. That's not this. This is replacing the home cable that you were paying $120 for, or $110 or $100, whatever. It's
So
designed to compete with that. It's not Netflix. It's going to have 150 to 350 channels. What streaming service has that?
That's true. The way I see it here is that you may get 350 channels, 300, 150, and you have nothing to watch.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you think that streaming services give you all you need, this product's not for you. Like if you have Hulu and you're satisfied, that's not what this is.
No.
This is for the people that want T-Mobile's version of cable TV. So the charge is $90 per month if you're a T-Mobile customer. And even if you're not a T-Mobile customer, so you don't have their wireless, you can still sign up and get the $90 promo for now. But I think eventually it's going to go up to $100 if you're not a T-Mobile customer. But it's nice that you can be, a Verizon wireless customer or something else. You don't have to be a T-Mobile wireless to take advantage of the service, but you do have to be in the markets. So there are only 8 markets that have this available as of right now. It's Longmont, Colorado. I saw San Francisco, LA. These are some bigger cities. So not available in all markets. So we got limited availability. Cost is between $90 and $100. You are getting a lot of channels. So yeah, it's essentially a home cable option. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Dave?
This does not scare big cable.
That's exactly what I said in my video.
It's that I know. I just totally pulled your quote. It doesn't though. If most people are paying $107 for their cable, which
That's
is
what T-Mobile says, by the way. That's what they say.
if T-Mobile claims that most people are paying $107 for their cable, and it's going to cost me $100 to use their cable instead of my other provider's cable, I almost wonder if it's worth $7 just to stay where I am and not have to deal with the hassle of calling them and disconnecting and then calling T-Mobile and getting connected. At least they're offering it to non-T-Mobile customers.
I think we also have to consider, like, what's the hardware going to cost? Like, how much per box? Like, is T-Mobile going to say you can have up to 3 boxes free of charge? So you can get a house decked out with these boxes. It's not wireless. You know what I mean? It is going to have to connect to a wire. So you're going to need your cable running. So it's bring your own cable. You're not going to be able to really do it over LTE unless you have some kind of a slick setup with the hotspot or something. I mean, they are going to have 4K, Dave. They are going to have, full HD. Like, this is going to be high resolution content. It's not cheap streaming 720,
Okay.
So it's a legitimate service. Look, if you believe what T-Mobile says, and if you are paying over $105 per month for TV, and this is in your market, you're probably thinking about it. But if you are a Hulu Live, Netflix, PlayStation View, YouTube TV, exactly, yeah, this is not for you.
No, it's really not, because $100 a month, that's still a lot of money. And as I said, with 150 channels and nothing to watch, I feel like that's a lot of what TV is now. I mean, that's my opinion, and I guess everybody doesn't see the same as I do. But you get 150 channels, well, that's great until you can't find a darn thing to watch on it.
Dave, what if they came in at $75?
Totally. Absolutely 100%.
So a T-Mobile customer, $75, $79 if you're a T-Mobile customer. And then introduce it to non-T-Mobile customers at 85 or 89. I bet you they would have some switchers.
I think so.
I just don't think the cost was good enough, man.
No, I don't think so. I think
they're too close to big cable.
They're too close, and they're too small. Again, that's only available in certain markets. If this had come out at, again, like $75 or $70, I think you'd have a lot of people on the waiting list signing up to get that.
So here's the situation with this. This move makes me feel like this was T-Mobile proving to the DOJ and the FCC, we told you we wanted to compete. We told you we needed the merger to do this, and we were serious about it. Here it is. But I don't think it was enough to scare big cable. But I think it does prove a point that they really were truly trying to get into TV and home internet.
Comcast offered... Oops, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Comcast offered me home internet and cable for $175 a month. I was paying $50 of that for the internet. So that would mean that they were charging me $125 for cable.
In a bundle.
So, yeah, in a bundle. I don't know what their cable would have been directly.
Sounds like it would have been probably a little bit more, 140, 150.
Sounds probably about right. So at that kind of price, I could see this offering being really tempting. But I still think it would have been better if it had been 70, 80.
So I'm thinking about like what I was offered. I'm offered $60 a month for 100 meg internet, 100 meg download, 10 on the upload. I'd say that's very serviceable. You could do whatever you need with 100 megs.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That takes care of every device here. All the smartphones, all the laptops, all the tablets, iPads, whatever. That also takes care of streaming services. Okay. Now, if I switch to like cable TV, I'm going to be paying about $90 to $100 for whatever premium option cable package they have to get me my sports, to get me my movies, to get me my, FS1, ESPN, all that good stuff. So we're looking at about 150, 160 bucks. So I'm coming in just like you are, man. And what's available to me is Cox. I don't have anything else that I could take advantage of. We got a monopoly over here.
Now, that's one thing that I think T-Mobile actually could do. Instead of having to use the cables that come into your house, what if T-Mobile offered a box that took in LTE and they had their cable service stream over their LTE network, and then the box would take the data, convert it into the cable signals, and send it out. That way you'd have a choice for cable that you wouldn't have had before. So, for example, with me, all I've got is Comcast. That's the only thing we have here. That would at least give a second option.
Yeah, and a couple of the people in the live chat have mentioned the cost that T-Mobile's charging for this is taxes and fees included. Like, it's $90 out the door. They're not going to be any surprises. There's no contracts. Like, they're doing it the Un-carrier way. So, like, you know, when you see like Comcast or Spectrum or whoever else you're getting, AT&T even, they're like, yeah, we'll bring you in at $89.99 for the first year. Da 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 da. You look at the hidden charges, it automatically it's up over 100. It's at 103. You're like, okay, fine, 103. After the year, it's 119 or 149. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have very sneaky ways. There's a lot of people, if T-Mobile would have came with just the right price, they would have abandoned ship.
Oh, gosh, yeah, especially with taxes and fees included, because everybody else puts an asterisk at the end of their prices. It's $79.99 asterisk.
T-Mobile has got to buy the spectrum to really start supporting the markets where they want to do this broadband and TV. They got to do it, man. Their plan to do this all over LTE, like, it can work. They're just gonna have to bolster their network. It's gonna have to be Verizon on steroids.
it could work over LTE. It could really work over 5G. And if they do manage to get Sprint, it will really, really work over the combined.
Yeah, but they need it. You know, these are, I've always viewed T-Mobile as the only true disruptor. You know, Verizon kind of leads the way, and AT&T, they own everybody, and Sprint's been lollygagging in terms of their network operations. Like, T-Mobile's the only one worth giving a shot, you know, to do this. Like, they're showing that they're trying to do something. I'm not the type of person to stand in their way. You know, so like at first I was really against the merger because I'm like, wait, I want 4 carriers. I don't like the idea of 3. And then I'm looking at Sprint like it's all their fault they're in this position. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to cut off my nose to spite my face. What T-Mobile can do with Sprint is very important. You know, like I'm really starting to buy into that idea.
Absolutely.
And they made a couple of nice little moves, and they could do more if they get the merger to work for them. You know,
because T-Mobile knows what they're doing, and they're doing something worth doing, and that's something that you can't say about everybody else. Because AT&T and Verizon are just sitting back, only improving when they have to, being terrible to customers, just like they always have been. That's their business model, and that's what they're going to keep doing until there's a reason not to. The only reason AT&T and Verizon took away contracts is because T-Mobile did it first, and they were afraid. The only reason Verizon and AT&T do anything is because of competition and what T-Mobile is going to offer.
You know, when I got I think it was in 2017 when Verizon brought back the unlimited. Was it February 2017? Okay.
And why did they do that?
Do you want to know who I thanked? I didn't thank Verizon, man. I thanked T-Mobile for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if they hadn't done it first, because when T-Mobile said, "Oh, we're going to give you unlimited," and everybody started switching to T-Mobile because they wanted the unlimited, wasn't Verizon and AT&T losing like a lot of customers every single day?
So Verizon's churn has always been legendary. Like, their churn is so low. Verizon doesn't really lose much for customers, which is why they've maintained such a high level of subscribers. People really like the Verizon service, and they're loyal to Verizon because of the network performance. But AT&T was hemorrhaging customers to T-Mobile.
That's the one.
And Sprint hemorrhaged customers to T-Mobile. So a lot of when Sprint was at 80 million subscribers and they went down to 80 million, where do you think those 20 million went?
Yeah, absolutely. They most likely to T-Mobile.
They went to T-Mobile because it was the closest thing to the price that they could get, but they needed a better network.
Mm-hmm.
So, T-Mobile was growing and expanding while Sprint was falling behind in LTE. And then the AT&T customers are like, man, like this pricing is crazy. Like the network is fine, but I'm paying $85 a month for one line.
The network is okay until it's not, and they want to charge you $400 to get yourself on one of those microcells.
Look,
like they did me.
AT&T knows how to be profitable. Verizon knows how to be profitable. They don't really bend when it comes to pricing. So what you do as a consumer is ask yourself, is whatever they're offering in terms of product worth the money, or should I be going with somebody else, right? So looking at Sprint or T-Mobile. A lot of people say, well, the Sprint's not cutting it, so they go with T-Mobile. And now I don't look at T-Mobile as a cut rate provider. I look at T-Mobile as an innovative, consumer-centered competitor.
Absolutely. That's the brand image they've built for themselves, and they're doing really good about maintaining it.
So who do I want to benefit from the merger?
T-Mobile.
The competitor, the innovator, the trailblazer, the consumer-centered approach, So even though I have Verizon, I don't care. I want to see T-Mobile succeed. Whether I end up staying with Verizon or I go with T-Mobile or whatever, they're important to the marketplace. You know what I mean?
They are. Absolutely.
I just don't see any other carrier doing anything worth a damn for customers. So, that's kind of why, like, I do the videos that I do, like talking about cable and talking about TV and covering the home internet situation with T-Mobile. This is so critical. Like, people are paying $140 a month for HughesNet. I didn't even know what HughesNet was. I'd say in one video about T-Mobile's home internet, 40 comments came about some company named HughesNet. It's a satellite internet provider with really, really low data caps and slow as molasses speeds. And they're charging people $140. I'd never heard of it before that video. People were commenting, I'm paying $140 a month for 20 megs per second, and I'm capped off at 100 gigs.
Oh.
Dude, that's vicious.
That is.
I swear, I have a terabyte. I don't use it or come close to it. But, like, I even get mad to know that I have that cap.
Yeah, exactly. That, and I understand that launching those satellites costs money, but that's crazy.
Bro, these are people that don't have options that are legit getting ripped off for subpar service.
Oh yeah.
And think about it. Internet is not it's not an extra anymore.
No, it's not.
It's a requirement to run your TV. It's a requirement for your utilities. It's a requirement for a smart home. It's a requirement for homework. It's a requirement for connectivity.
It's a requirement.
It's no longer a commodity, right?
It's a requirement for your children to get a good education.
How are your kids going to compete?
That is not a commodity.
And they're charging these people these prices, HughesNet, and all this other nonsense. Give these people options, man. Let T-Mobile do their thing, man. I'm not standing in their way anymore. Let them do it. And they can do it, and I don't care what happens to Sprint as long as T-Mobile's the beneficiary. I don't care. I used to think, let Sprint die, No. Whatever. I don't care. I just want T-Mobile to do it. I want to give them the opportunity to show and prove. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think what
Yeah.
we'll do, Dave, because we've been on for a while, let's open up this. Let's open up a little Q&A, or kind of like open the floor up to the live chat, and let's just see what everybody's saying, and then we'll kind of cap things off in a couple of minutes here.
All right.
All right, so Kevin says, I have Spectrum, paying $60 a month, 100 megs down, 10 megs up, no data cap. That's the one good thing that they have going on. That's actually the same thing I have. 60, you're getting 100, and then you're getting 10. That's exactly what I'm getting. Daniel says, this should be considered a utility. So, Dave, if it's a utility, what should we be paying for it?
Oh, the internet?
Yeah.
I'd say $50 a month is probably about right.
And you should be getting 50 down and 10 up.
I would agree with that. That's broadband speeds. The FCC defines broadband as what now, 20?
Yeah.
So yes, I would agree. $50 a month gets you 50 down and 10 up. I completely agree with that.
No cap, because we're not doing this over LTE. What is this cap business?
No caps. Absolutely.
It's running through wires. What caps? Why?
Data caps are just a way of the companies making more money. Comcast puts a cap on you, not because their network has to have it to survive, because they don't, because it's running over wires. They put a cap on you because they want to make more money. They won't tell you that. That's why.
They tried to put me on a cap, and I said, I swear, if you put me on a cap, I will cut off service yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I was really amped up about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to pay whatever you're asking, but you're going to tell me I can't use it all? Get out of here, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's enough of that. DGAF says, did you hear about YouTube TV? They upped their price to $50 a month. Yeah, for those of you out there that have the YouTube TV service, your bill's going up. I'm not sure when the existing service goes up, but I know new customers are going to be paying 50. I think it used to be 40. I'm not sure if that's accurate. Does anybody out there know, or maybe Dave, you know?
There's a price creep. I had YouTube TV. It was 35. It went to 40. Now it's going to 50. So there's definitely some price creep going on there. I got rid of it because I wasn't using it. Honestly, I haven't, besides YouTube TV, I have not had TV since I was 16 years old.
I want to say it was probably 40, and now it's up about $5 or $10. So I hear they added some channels. So it's not that they didn't give you any value, but they added some programming. I think they added like 7 or 8 channels.
They added the Discovery channels.
And it's like a bundle of channels, right? It's like 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah, it's like all the ones that Discovery owns. It's like ID and Discovery and some other stuff.
All right, so they raised their price. Hulu just bumped on me. I think I was at 40. Now I'm at 45 or something like that. After taxes, I think it's about $48. So they kind of all did it. And I think it's hard with streaming services. I don't think people realize the cost to actually running TV, getting these packages, getting these channels and things like that. Like, it's hard to be profitable in streaming.
It really is.
Which I think T-Mobile realizes that, and it was easier for them to do cable than to do streaming. But I still would like to see T-Mobile offer a comparative product to Hulu Live and like PlayStation View and Amazon. You know what I'm saying?
Like an actual streaming service.
Like YouTube TV, but give me the T-Mobile version. Mm-hmm. T-Mo TV. Something like that. Skinny bundle, 40 to 50 channels, $50 a month. And have it run through LTE. Discount it for people that have your T-Mobile wireless service.
Good channels, though. That's the thing about cable, is that you get 1,000 channels and there's hardly any good ones. You might get like 10 or 15, 20 good channels, and you have like 1,000 other ones that you never ever watch because they're there, but they never even get turned on.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is give it to them like how YouTube TV has it. I'd say that there's probably a legitimate 15 to 20 channels that most people would watch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not all of them, obviously, but if you offered 40 to 50 and somebody watched almost half of them, they'd be satisfied. Matt Wilson says I paid $90 for Spectrum, 400 megs up, or no, 400 megs down probably. I'd give some to HughesNet customers if I could. Yeah, those poor people getting ripped off, man.
Man,
DJ says only difference is that some areas might only have 1 megabit per second. Oh, so they're talking speeds out there in the chat. M. Kelleher says 1 terabyte. No one needs all that, but people do, man.
yeah,
Especially if you're running a streaming service at
you
4K resolution, right?
yeah, go have 3 kids, and you and your significant other have Netflix or Hulu, and then come back and tell me you don't need a terabyte.
Yeah. Gary Nakel's in the chat. I get Xfinity Internet and TV, 125 download, 10 up, $220. Wow.
Ouch.
Like that's good service. Like that the speeds are impressive, right? 125, 10 up. He's getting TV. But like
That
price is vicious.
that
It's cold
that
blooded.
just that just makes my wallet hurt thinking about it.
Every time you're cutting that, you're like, damn, man, I might have to sell my kidney just to keep
Right?
service.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matthew Aguirre says Hulu Live TV is now 50. Yeah, that's what I'm paying now. DGAF confirms it was 40 a month for YouTube TV. Let's see here. Kevin Taylor says it's going up to 55 a month if you get billed through iTunes, and it starts May 13th for existing customers. So if you purchase through Apple, like say you have an iPhone and you purchase YouTube TV through Apple, that price is even higher.
Because
Wow.
Apple charges that premium, and they want to get their price, so
Yeah, they want their piece, huh?
they have to charge more because that other
Yeah.
5 is going to Apple.
Yeah, they want their money. They want their cut. Let's see. Matthew says Sling TV is still the cheapest, only $25. Yeah, they've somehow been able to kind of keep prices down. They've got like a blue package and an orange package, and there's add-ons and stuff, but they are very competitive. I used to have Sling. If the app wasn't so wonky, I would probably still have them.
Yeah, their app was a little bit weird when I had them, and I'd consider actually going back to them, and I have considered it. I've also considered it for my grandmother. She gets 15 down, 15 down, 15 up, uh, and I've actually considered it for her rather than their cable service there because it would be a lot better price wise.
If I was by myself, no family, I would do 15 up and 15 down. That would be plenty for me
Oh, absolutely.
because I could stream, I could live stream the podcast. Like I could do whatever I needed on that type of bandwidth. Like I could work with that.
About the only thing that 15 up and 15 down won't get you is 4K. 1080p would work fine.
But I don't even have a 4K TV yet.
Right.
I'm still rolling. I don't even know if I have Quad HD, honestly. My phone is Quad HD, but I think my TV is 1080p.
I don't have a TV.
Oh, so you do everything through your device, your handheld.
I have either my phone or my computer. I don't even own a TV.
I bet you we've got some subscribers and some viewers out there that are the same. That's probably pretty common, actually. Let's see here. Daniel says 400 megs, 240 channels, and voice 214. Wow, man, people really are paying those prices that T-Mobile is talking about.
You have a landline?
That's what you caught out of all of that, man. Really?
Yeah. Sorry,
but they're
that's
well they throw it in there. They're like, yeah, you get it's all part of the bundle. You get a home phone too. You're like, wait a minute, I don't own a home phone. Like, where do I got to go buy one? Like,
what's a home phone?
Remember the ones with the buttons on them, like the physical buttons?
Oh, those things. Yeah,
okay. Man. Yeah, John M. I've got one child. I got my daughter. So it's the three of us, my wife and my baby. Let's see here. Daniel says I only use around 400 gigs a month anyway. That's probably typical, for a few people or whatever.
For a few people, yeah, that's about what I was using. I had a roommate. We were using probably about 300 to 3 to 4.
Yeah. Do you remember when I did the LTE only challenge, Dave?
Yeah.
So like I still haven't turned on my Wi-Fi yet. Like honestly, guys, you guys can tell me. Let you guys got me? Am I in
Yeah,
there?
there we go. You died for a second.
Hold on a second. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. We in there?
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. So I've been using LT only probably since I don't know, like the week before I did the LT only challenge, and I've been completely off the Wi-Fi. And at first, it was like just to try it out and to see what it was like, but I've just stuck with it. And the reason I've done it is because I just don't want to have reliance on Wi-Fi if I don't need it. So like the bandwidth, I just, leave it for the TV, for streaming service and stuff like that. Like Dave, do you have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I have Wi-Fi. I don't use it except for my computer, but
And I mean, how's your LTE?
my LTE is great. I'm actually using it now.
Hmm. I don't know, man. The way I'm seeing it now is like if cable providers aren't willing to up the ante, and really make it worth the price, maybe more people should be looking to use LTE for their solutions. Because to me, it's pretty reliable.
I would agree with that. There's probably a lot of areas that are like super congested, but as a general rule, at like if it works well enough on your phone for you, and that's something you can test out because you already have it, I think it's going to work all right for home internet.
All right, sorry, I just had to switch the mic. How's the sound, Dave?
You're fine.
All right, so you know, I'm pretty much transitioned. I've transitioned away from Wi-Fi. I'm pretty much all LTE at this point. Like right now, I'm broadcasting from a Chromebook. I know the video quality isn't great, but I didn't expect to be on this long, so this was my backup plan. Um, I was actually going off of my device. I was off LTE. So if you guys in the live chat, let me know what was our audio and our visual feed like during the podcast, because honestly, that was over LTE. And I encourage people, if your LTE is good enough, tell these cable providers if they can't give you what you're looking for, if they can't offer you value, tell them to kick rocks. I don't know. Let's kind of see what's going on in the live chat here. Uh, Sean says Verizon deprioritizes pretty rough, past 22 gigs, at least in Orlando, Florida. See, I'm not getting that deprioritization too bad. Um, doesn't give me
That
much of a hard time.
that's very, very area dependent. I could see somewhere like Orlando or Chicago being bad,
That's what
but
he said, Orlando.
yeah, I could see that. But it really, that's depending on area. If you're in the middle of like Montana, you're never gonna get deprioritized.
Yeah, see, they just told me uh, there was a decline in video quality. I wonder if it's my Chromebook or if it's the connection. I'm not a big fan of the video quality on the Chromebook, but I don't know. But I really like what my LTE can do in terms of even just the upload that I use for this type of connection. Let's see here. John says he's about to do a Sprint LTE challenge. Oh man, Dave, should I do a Sprint LTE only challenge?
I think with your luck, you'd be doing a Sprint 3G only challenge.
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about, man. I cannot do 3G. If this was 5 years ago and my phone was in 3G a couple of times, I'd let it slide. But I can't do 3G no more, man. Can't
No,
do it.
it's crazy. 3G in 2019.
I can't be talking in 3G, man. I mean, we just spent the first 20 minutes of the podcast talking about 5G. How are we going to talk 3G, man? Yeah, Raphael says audio and video was great. So yeah, the LTE is kicking for me, man. Let's see here. Young how man, that's hard to say. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to slaughter your limb. My mobile hotspot has already used 90 gigabytes, and I have no experience of slowdown. Which service provider are you using? Let's see here. Matthew Aguirre says, this is great. Your stream is like 720p resolution. There hasn't been a pause, and I've been watching you over T-Mobile, and I don't have Wi-Fi. Wang says, Sprint is bad. No go on the Sprint. Actually, so you know what I want to do? Just to add, to the catalog of videos on the channel. I think I want to do an AT&T LTE only challenge. And I think I want to do a T-Mobile LTE only challenge as well.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah. And that way, build the catalog, compare the congestion issues, compare the deprioritization if there's any. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I guess I got to bite the bullet and do the Sprint one too then.
It'll be interesting to see because your deprioritization on T-Mobile won't be until 50 gigs anyway.
So I want to say the month I did the LTE only challenge, I used like 128 something, like maybe 125 gigs on Verizon.
Sounds about right.
I used so what I actually ended up doing is I got a VPN. And with the VPN, I think my Hulu Live streams higher resolution. So instead of like cutting it out at like 720p, I think I started getting 1080p.
I can explain that, and that's because the video throttle cap.
Verizon
shapes their network so that if it detects that it's video, it automatically decreases the quality. By using a VPN, it can't detect what it is.
The VPN basically gives me about 40 megabits per second on average. And I can put that towards the video. Without the VPN, I'm like at 4 to 5 megabits per second.
Yep.
So my video quality is like really just 720p is about as good as it can get. I can kind of mess with 1080p a little bit, but it's hard to keep it from buffering. So as soon as I got the VPN, boom, my video quality improved because there's more available bandwidth. You know what I'm saying? It was faster.
There's more available bandwidth because Verizon can't see what your data type is, and so they can't detect that it's video because that's what they do. They automatically shape it down so that your video only streams in 720.
Yeah, I highly recommend it to anybody who's on any type of a video throttling restriction. Get yourself a solid VPN that holds a good speed on some good servers, and it'll run like clockwork, man. You'll get higher resolution video capability. The playback is so much nicer. Like if you have a quad HD phone, it kind of sucks being stuck in 720p or 480p.
I've heard. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I've heard NordVPN is pretty good, and I've used private internet access, and that one's pretty good too.
So you guys are actually going to start hearing and seeing some ads. Well, not ads, but like an affiliate program that I have just established it with NordVPN. So I'm going to be working with them a little bit to get some promo codes out there for you guys. So I'll be shouting those out probably beginning or ending of my videos. I'll be putting links in the description to get you guys some discounts on NordVPN. And because it's an affiliate program, it helps support me through the channel and it gets discounts to the viewers. So it kind of works nicely in both ways. So that's pretty much it. In terms of the live chat, it was pretty active. I mean, Dave, the podcast has grown. I remember when I had 5 or 6 people in the live streams. I've got 47 in here right now. So I want to go ahead and give a special shout out to all those that watch the podcast live, been participating in the live chat, kind of engaging with me and Dave B's Tech. Uh, man, it's been crazy. Dave, you've been riding with me since the beginning. Where were
Oh,
you at when you subscribed, man?
I remember when there was like 4 or 5 people that used to watch the live streams.
And what about the videos, like in terms of all of them? Like, like in the very beginning, like you probably remember some of my early uploads.
Oh yeah, I think when I came on, you might have had like a couple hundred subscribers, maybe. It's been a while.
And as of right now, the channel's at around 2,700 subscribers.
Nice.
So I mean, I feel blessed, humbled, joyful. Like the channel has really taken off, and I'm just so happy. My goal in the beginning, like I was like, oh, I just want to get to 100 subscribers, and then I got to 100. I was happy. I was like, all right, my next goal is to get to 500, and then I got to that. I mean, and it took a long time to actually go from like 100 to 500, and then I hit 1,000, right, and that was like the biggie. You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, 1,000 subscribers. But then, like, I started to see like the growth was kind of slow. Like it took a year for me to add 1,000. You know, we're now in the second year of Steam Mobile Tech, and I've expanded. I started doing the podcast. Um, I started doing more in terms of interaction in the comments section. Getting guest spots like with you and Pete. And I had Devin on a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you got to listen to that podcast. Uh, but yeah, it's been a crazy ride. Actually, I don't know if you've noticed anything. Have you noticed anything from the videos lately over the course of the last couple months?
Not that I can think of right offhand.
What I've tried to do, and I've been more cognizant of this over the course of like the last year, is I've tried to offer more objective opinion into, the narrative. You know what I mean? So I want to give more of me into the videos, and I think that's been part of the reason why I've seen some of that growth. I don't know if that's something you've noticed or you can confirm, but that's what I've tried to do. I mean, I spent the whole first year trying to increase my subscriber numbers, get the channel to grow, and I'm thinking, why is it taking so long? Why is it so slow? How do I do this? And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let it rip. I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna do it my way. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody thinks. I just want to do it my way. So that's what I did, right? And with the channel growing, I mean, it's been so rewarding, man. And the Patreon, I mean, we've got a nice little community there. You know,
Now, I think I was your first patron.
it was you, and then I think Pete, and then Joel. You guys have been riding with me on the Patreon since the very beginning. Uh, and then I think Breon came on. Brian L came on. So like I know it's a small group, but like I've always felt very connected to my subscribers. They've always been so passionate and involved. And of course, the comment section, man, it's the best. There's not really any trolls. There's no negativity. It's been awesome. I just wanted to take the time to thank you guys, all the subscribers and the viewers out there, for being a part of the channel, man. All the growth and the expansion of the channel, watching the podcast, commenting in the videos, watching them all, liking them and sharing them and helping the channel grow. It's been an awesome ride. I don't know. The reason I say that is, Dave's got his own channel. So I'm going to give Dave kind of a second to just shout out his channel once again. So Dave, if you want to go ahead and plug your channel, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks. As I said before at the very beginning, I'm Dave B's Tech. You can find me at bit.ly/DBLINUX. And I'm amateur radio and all sorts of different technology. That's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I do.
Now, if you guys are looking for, Dave in the comment section, he's always there, offering his own, perspectives and input. So he's easy to find. And I mean, I'm subscribed to your channel, Dave. You've got some solid content in there. What do you have any type of specific upload schedule or anything?
No, quite frankly, my biggest problem right now is that I don't know what to upload. Like I've got like 11 subscribers and I'm just not sure what to upload and what people want to see.
Here's what we're gonna do. I want you guys right now, as soon as you get off of this podcast, you're watching whatever, go ahead and subscribe to Dave B's Tech. I've got a link in the description box below. I'll make sure that I get it out there in a post. We're gonna get you some more subscribers. Go ahead and make a poll, Dave, and let's see what the people want you to do. And with their ideas, maybe you could put together something in terms of what they want to see or hear from you. Now that they've kind of gone through a podcast with you at least once, they kind of see what your perspective is and what your expertise is, what they might want to hear or see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of it is just that I'm a bit afraid to upload because I don't feel like what I upload is going to be good enough. That's I think my biggest problem.
I say just let it rip, man. You know, if I was to give any new YouTuber or up and comer any advice, just record, man. Record, upload, make sure you're getting better with each upload and make sure you enjoy what you're doing. I think that's the best way to go. All right. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think we'll let that end there. I want to go ahead and thank the SMT Nation, everybody out there supporting Steam Mobile Tech. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all the comments and all the activity in the live chat. I want to also thank Dave B's Tech for joining me. Thank you so much for being here, Dave B. Very, very, very helpful in terms of adding to the conversation and the dialogue. And yeah, again, shout out to his YouTube channel, Dave B's Tech. You guys can find him here on the YouTube, and you can find him in the comment section of my videos as well. So he'll be around. We've got JG Tech Blog this Sunday. For those of you that want more of a Steam Mobile Tech on the podcast end of things, I'll be there. It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, JG Tech Blog. And again, Dave, thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. And I think that's it. We can
Yeah,
kind of leave it at that.
thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Dave. And without further ado, we'll sign off. Thank you all for taking the time to watch the podcast. I am Sneed from Steam Mobile Tech with special guest Dave B's Tech. We will see you guys on the next podcast. Peace.